We do this as a team, and we work together and to get better. Because how old is a calf when he's weaned? Okay. I think he's 1 day old. Because right there, I just weaned the calf. I created separation of mom and calf. Even if it's a split second, even if it's 5 minutes. That has to be a positive event in that calf's life and that mom. And that's what we're going to talk about the rest of the way through. It's about preparation for separation. It sounds silly. Almost sounds like preparation H. But it's preparation S. Okay? We're getting them prepped for weaning. So at 1 day of age, we're prepping them that. Okay? Oops. When we tag the ears, what I like to do is rub that ear down just like that. Just a quick rub before I stick that tag in. How many, I was going to ask how many women here have gotten earrings, but today sometimes you have to ask how many guys too, just to make it fair. And that's okay. I'm not judging. But when we do that, when we go get an earring, when you go, they usually will wipe that down with alcohol. And when they do that, they pull on the earlobe. And if you do that to your ear, if you don't believe me that desensitizes it, just do that a couple times. And all of a sudden you go, God, it stings just a little bit, but it's numbed. And if they don't do that, you about pee your pants when they stick that earring in there. Okay? So just do that, because what that does is when you quick do that, that calf's not going to bellow, or he's not going to move as much. It's a heck of a lot safer for you. You got to keep mom calm in this whole situation, because the minute that calf bellers and lets out a big old blurt, if she has a little bit of hormone disruption, you're going to find out that you should have probably numbed that ear. Okay. Here is just another way. I'm going to show you this. This is another way of weighing calves and catching them. They have this deal right on their hydro bed of their pickup. You take that and pick that up, put that right up on that little scale, and then just take your hydraulic lever and zip that up. That keeps the mom and the cow pretty comfortable. And believe it or not, that calf is really comfortable up there. When he's with his feet down and acting like he's standing, he's really, really comfortable. It's a lot safer way of doing it. You get to check them if they're bulls and so forth right away that way. And right there, I gave this talk in is there anybody here from Kentucky? Oh, anybody listening from Kentucky? But I gave this talk in Lexington, Kentucky, and I asked him what that guy just checked for to see if he was a bull. And I said, what age is it? Unless you're raising bulls, okay? Unless you're raising bulls for seed stock, the best time to castrate calves is either when they're born or just a few weeks old. But it's not at the feedlot, believe it or not. And if you don't understand that, if anybody's, well, I ain't gonna say what, because this is getting videotaped. So I promised myself but yeah. Hey, just think of some bad things that can happen to you at a later age in life that you might not appreciate. Okay, you don't remember it when you're born, but you remember it later on. Okay. And that's the same way. You got to think about these things the same way. Okay? When we do pairing and gathering, I think this is really, really important. This is one of the things that we've worked hard at. What this has done for us at Clay Center, I can tell you there, because we have the numbers to prove it, is that 5 years ago, our morbidity rate in the feedlot was 25. We pulled 25% of the calves for respiratory disease in the feedlot post-weaning. Okay? And I can't remember what the death loss was, but it was high as well. This last year's calf crop, with doing the stuff that I'm going to show you here, and some of the, even like the tagging stuff that we've done there, and the acclimation of those heifers. This last year's calf crop, we pulled 1.5% for respiratory disease. This is all about preparation of that calf. And because many of us on the cow-calf side, we prepare them sometimes just to get to weaning, and that's our mindset. But I really want you to think about it is you preparing the calf for slaughter and for the end day. And what we talk about when we were in Australia, I was just in Australia last week, and what we talked about there is that we want our cattle to be happy, dead. Absolutely no gray area. Okay? And so when we go gather, and this is different than when I was talking to you guys there from Arizona. So when we go gather, if we go gather up cows, what we're going to do is we're going to go through them. We're going to ask the cows and the calves, or the calves to go find their mom, or the cows to go find their calf. And then we're going to allow them to suckle for about 20, 30, 40 minutes before we start moving them. Because our goal is when we take them to the gathering pen, is we want those cows to go, when they're going through, we don't want 20 or 30 calves lagging behind. We want that to be a cow-calf pair going through the gate at the very end. That's our goal. And if you do this, I promise you it will work. If it don't work, the only reason it did not work, is you were moving them too fast. Okay? You were pushing too hard. So, this is what I mean by doing that. This is it playing? Nope. Something happened. Uh-oh. We'll try it again. Yeah, I'll try it one more time. Hopefully it plays. Yeah, it's going to say no. It played earlier, I promise. But what she's going to go do is she's just going to make these cows and these calves get up and go find their mom and start suckling. As we did that, let me see if I can I'll just kind of move that along. No, it won't even move along. You dirty devil, you. That's okay. It's just a test. This is God's testing me right now. Just trying to test my stress level. Let me see if this one works. Oh, that one's not going to work either. You dirty pup, you. Boy, and I had some really good stuff here. There we go. Look at there. Thanks, God. Whew. I started to breathe a little bit. Oh, man, I was getting nervous. So what she's doing is she's just going through the herd, and she's just asking right there, move that calf a little bit. She's not going to move these right away. She's just asking them to get up, go find their mom, and make sure they find their mom. As she does that, and you have to tell me, Robin, if I'm getting short on time. Don't hesitate to do that. A lot of people do. Even my wife sometimes. So she just keeps going through and asking them to find mom. So those little two calves in the creek there, she went there, she got that guy together. And so she just keeps going through and asking. I'm just sitting there videoing. They usually say I don't do much. I just standing on the horse. Okay. So that's what you're going to see. And you can see that little black calf going, are you my mom? Okay. And she goes, yes, I am. And she's going to go find this little calf over here. Okay. She's going to get him up with his mom and so forth. So as we do that, we go through that herd and we do those things. Then this, hopefully it plays now. There, oh, God's sakes. Whew, they're working again. So then what you're going to see, and what I want you to watch in here, there's two little renegade calves there walking by themselves, but what you're going to see as we trail these cows, all of a sudden you're going to see is there's a cow and a calf, cow and a calf, cow and a calf, cow and a calf. So how do you get cows and calves to go through the gate at the last time?
Go to the gate and call.
You can do that, and we talked about that a little bit too. But what you'll sometimes find when you do that is the cows, especially if you call them to feed, because actually it was on this day, the manager lady of this seed stock They forgot to call the feed truck driver and tell him to not bring feed to that paddock. And we had all the calves and the cows through the gate, and then that truck showed up, and all those cows took off to the north end of that pasture. And we had to hold those calves because the calves thought their mom was back in that other pasture. That was a wreck. So you got to really watch for those things. I'm gonna fast forward here. Here's another one. This is the final day of weaning. It's not going to play. Am I getting short? Getting close on time? Okay. Let me see if this one works. This one's important here. No, it won't work. That video there had it where those calves were going through right at the last time. Son of a gun. That's okay. If it pops up, we'll what I'll do is I'll have this for Robin and then they can put it. There we go. Oh, thank you. So this is what this looked like at the very end when these cows are going through this. And I want you to count how many calves are left behind. And believe it or not, every time we move cows and gather pairs over there, and we do it a lot over there because they're doing research projects all the time, so we're always sorting and gathering. That's the way it is every time now. This is how they sort. Calves are real sensitive, and so you can just use the head of your horse just to nod him over and stop a calf dead in his tracks and let the cow keep coming by. Allie here at the very end, she gets a little bit nervous on one black cow, and Justin can turn those back, and he can hold those calves just like that, turn them. Now she just needed to step forward, and she put too much pressure on that cow's hip, but she recovered. Okay. Those are the things that we teach our people, is about pressure points of cows, or in cattle, but understanding that the eye is where you want to move the cow or the calf. So processing, I'll quick talk about this. Syringe care and hygiene, I want to show you this really quick. This is at Wulf Cattle. This is on the fall cows when we were up there processing with them. Okay, there's their cooler. We always have clean facilities up there. Always. Or it should be. Okay? And they didn't know I was going to be out there that day, so that's a really good test. Okay? So this is what their cooler looks like. Everything is well organized. We store all of our syringes in the cooler. How much dust is floating around in the cooler? None. What's the mold growth rate in the cooler? It'll grow, but it's slow. Out in the sun, it'll grow, and it'll grow really fast. Contamination. Okay? Here's a bunch of needles. Change your needles every 10 head. Or every time, if you're putting like those little automatic refill syringes or pistol grip syringes and you're pulling out of the bottle, make sure you always change it, put a new needle on before you enter that bottle. Every time. Otherwise, you contaminate your vaccine, and especially if it's a killed vaccine. There's your lesions if you don't. Those are real lesions. That's just not made up stuff. Okay? I want to show you this, and I hope this video works because this is great stuff. It will eventually. It's just God testing me again. This is on that fall group of calves, and what I want you to watch is on these calves. You're just going to really test me. On these calves, what we've seen is as we process, so we let these calves separate, and we'll leave them separated for 1 to 2 hours post-processing. Jose was with me that day, and he says, Juan said, hey, we're going to go for lunch after we process these calves. And Jose said, well, we're just going to leave the calves out there, or are we going to put them back with the mom? And he said, no, they're fine. They're preparing for weaning. Okay? That's the mindset. That's a good mindset. I wish it would work because I had a really good thing to show you in there. Try it one more time. There we go. So you have calves way out there that are literally eating the grass. These things are like 4 to 6 weeks old. Those guys are ready to be weaned. You got calves over here that are resting and quiet, and then you have calves right up along their mom saying, I'm not ready to leave you yet. So we have work to do. Okay? Yeah, that ought to make it work better. So that's our preparation steps. At pre-weaning time, we'll go 12 to 24 hours over at Clay Center right now, and we need to start working on that even at Atkinson. All of our handling events, we got to make sure it's toward the preparation of permanent separation. Preconditioning is not just about vaccination. Preconditioning to me is it's a combination of handling. Handling is first and foremost. Final day preparation, good nutrition and minerals, and then vaccination. And I'm a veterinarian. Our job is to talk about selling vaccines and all that stuff, right? I'm a goofy veterinarian. I talk about handling, preparation, okay? All these steps are towards reducing the use of antibiotics. That's where we need to get to. Okay? And we have to do our part in the prevention of risk reduction in BRD, respiratory disease. Still our number one killer in feedlots. So as you guys prepare calves to come to Wulf cattle, that's our expectations at Wulf cattle on that ranch. And that's what we'd expect. They got a great team of people, and I enjoy working with them. I enjoy working with those guys up there. It's a great team. Those guys are always very open to what we have to say. So, and that's what we preach at the feedlot. So, I greatly appreciate you guys having me. I'm sorry the videos were slow, but that's okay. We made it through. Good? All right. Sorry, Casey.
No problem. Thank you, Dr. Kip, and I can vouch for that. I work with the guys down at Sandy Ridge a lot on pre-winning and that type of thing, and there's a lot to be said about preparation when you go to do that kind of work and having everything there that you need and everything organized like he showed there, because, I mean, we run a lot of calves through in a day, so it's really important, but the same kind of preparation should happen whether you're doing 10 or 100 or 500, because it just makes everything go that much better. So thanks, Dr. Kip. I think everybody enjoyed your presentation. So we wanted to open it up for questions and see if anybody had any questions about what they heard tonight. And the other thing, before I forget, Lisa had asked me to have everybody hand in their registration forms before they leave, and the checklist, and then we can take care of getting people certified. So, any questions about any of the slides? First question gets the cooler. Jim Wulf.
Say that again, sir.
You're telling us that moving cows is really hard and costly. Are we better off trailing them or hauling them?
The question is, Jim's asking about getting cows to the calving facility. If you don't have the facility to hold a lot of cows, you're going to have to keep moving cows in there continually. So that's Jim's question.
Yeah. So Jim, on that, what I'd tell you is it's just a change of address. So wherever they're coming from and going to, that change is sometimes stressful. Even taking cows into a calving pen inside of a barn can be stressful. And so the way we counteract that is some people will use like straw and stuff for bedding. I think some of the best bedding is prairie hay if you're bringing them into a calving stall. Because when she comes in there, she immediately stops and she starts eating that. They'll eat straw, but they don't like straw that much. It's not very nutritious anyway. There's some nutrition probably in there, but not a lot. Okay? But for whatever reason, when we put green prairie hay in a stall, it just calms them. And they start eating it right away, and they're a lot better. That's good. Like when you're bringing them into every day, moving things, what I tell you is just a time spent. How you interact with your cows is really important in that case. Okay? If you bring them there and then just leave them and walk away and do nothing, that's stressful to them. If you bring them there and then you come back in 2 hours or so and you walk through them and you check them, that's better. As long as you're not just, just going in like a madman, okay? As long as you come in and you ask, hey, Nate, you move off there, okay, and very good, you're good, you're good about it, create a little bit of movement. Is that answer? Okay.
Trailing or hauling? What's less stressful?
Less stressful trailing, I think. Hauling, I don't know, that's stressful to me. I just, when I was in Australia last week, I got to watch, they don't have no washing facilities like in their slaughter plant or arbitrary they call them. So they have to wash cattle, or cattle when they go to slaughter, they have to be clean. No mud tags, no nothing. So I got to watch my first group of cattle get washed in a power washer system. And all I know is to do that, you have to kind of get them tight and thin, and this water comes up out of the floor and sprays them. And before even that all happens, when they're all fattened in and tight, I don't like to be that tight. That's stressful. So hauling cattle in a trailer, that's stressful. More stressful than trailer. That's why in the old days you see a lot of trailed for 5, 10, 15 miles. They just had a lot more time.
I like the part that, Dr. Kip worries about how the cattle think and how they react to different situations. And I think it's important that we always keep trying to learn and do things better all the time, because I'm going to make a comment on your video now. So you're talking about acclimation. Those heifers could have been branded sooner, and then they probably would have acclimated better if they wouldn't have had those recent brands. So obviously they went through a shoot right before the video.
Exactly.
So if that would have been taken care of sooner, then they would maybe been even more acclimated.
Yep.
But
Absolutely.
any more questions? We got to have something. Yeah, Travis.
When you talk about pairing up cattle, before you move them, how many times, in the summer, does that have to be done for it to work? Just every time you move them, or if you don't move them that often, you have to do it, just sometimes you're not moving them?
No, anytime you're out there interacting with them, that's an opportunity to just ask cows to go get up and pair. Even like when we're checking cows for calving, for instance. We'll have calves out there already, but we're always looking for the one that's having trouble. I always ask guys, how many calves do you pull in a year? And they'll say, well, I don't know, about 1-2%. How many times did you get up in the middle of the night to go check them? Well, once or twice. So you got up once or twice in the middle of the night, and then you checked them maybe 2 or 3 times during the day, and all you looked for was the one having trouble. That's 1 out of 100, or 2 out of 100 that's going to have trouble. And so on these rainy days or snowy days, why didn't we spend more time asking the calves to get up and go find mom and nurse? Because when you have a snowy day or a rainy day, guess what happens to those calves? What do? Are they suckling, or are they hunkered down trying to get warm? They're trying to get warm. So they might go for 24 hours and not drink. Then all of a sudden the sun comes out and light comes out, and mom's bag's tight as a balloon. I always got to think of the proper wording. I spend all my time in a feedlot. I talk really not really right. So, yes. And so you think about that. Her bag's tight, calf is hungry. Where does Clostridial enterotoxemia scours come from? Yeah. It's overeating. Yeah. So why didn't, during that storm event, when you were so nervous about checking on 1 or 2% of 1 or 2 cows out of 100 for having a dystocia, why didn't you spend more time getting them up and telling them, go find your mom and get a quick bite to eat? Because that would have saved you a boatload of time and a boatload of antibiotics and a boatload of drenching calves if you would have did that.
So, follow-up question.
Yeah.
You said get a calf up and go find your mom. You got to physically make sure that calf goes and actually finds your mom, or just get it up and get it moving.
Just get up, get it moving. Because guess what's going to happen? Guess what happens when you get a cow up or even a feedlot steer up that's resting out in a pen? What's the first thing? What's the first things he do? He gets up, he stretches, he farts, he goes to the water tank, or he goes to the feed bunk. That's what he does. What else does he have to do? I mean, seriously. Just go eat.
Yeah, any more questions out there before we wrap up for the night? Yeah.
I guess this one's for Robert. You had that picture of eating with broken needles. What would you do in the feedlot situation if you knew that needle was broken? Like, how do you deal with that?
The animal would be put down and not go for human consumption.
These guys have SOPs, and I would encourage you. SOPs are just standard operating procedures, but if you have hired hands and so forth, you should really have kind of a list of documents of what to do in those situations and make sure they're carried out. That goes from euthanizing to broken needles to abortions to just everything.
And if you go to the like the BQA website, they have SOPs already written that you can fill in and write like your name in them or kind of make them more your own, but they have them all created for you, and so you can use that for your operation, which makes it really handy.
There's very few consumers that would be understanding of something like that or imagine how it could even possibly happen. So they would take it as a personal attack or just total incompetence. So it's very important that we are.
Casey, on that note too, on that note is always think about it only takes one bad event from your operation to affect this whole industry. You're not just affecting you, you're affecting all of us and everybody's livelihood. So in that case, if you're contemplating, gosh, do I just let her go, or do I quick take her to sale barn? You know, if you're contemplating that, just go look at your neighbor and maybe go, hopefully they have some little kids there and their livelihood is ranching. And just think about if you're willing to take that away from them. Okay?
I think those are pretty strong words, and it has to do a lot with what we talked about tonight. So I think that's where we're going to wrap up. Any other questions, you can come up. That everybody will be here for a while afterwards. Anything to do with registration, if you have any questions about your forms or whatever, feel free to come up and talk to us. Otherwise, thanks for coming out. I hope everybody enjoyed it and learned something tonight, and we hope to see you all tomorrow for the sale.